Well, good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful, beautiful spring day here in beautiful Clifton, Texas. And I'm Ronnie Jordan, and I've got another story that I want to share with you from our book called The Second Book, which tells you that there's a first one out there somewhere, doesn't it? Um, I really thank all of you for responding to yesterday's broadcast. We had well over 1,000 viewers. Uh, I did it yesterday afternoon, and between now and then, over 1,000 views, and I cannot thank you enough. It's heartwarming to know that I said something that maybe you would listen to. I hope you'll listen to this one today. Um, it's an it's just a very moving story, and it's called A Tribute to a Special Lady. And so it goes like this. She was one of, now listen carefully, she was one of 6 children and moved constantly. I can't remember all the houses we lived in, she would say, but my mama always kept it clean and orderly because neither her mother nor her father had a formal schooling. Education was not considered a priority in her family. At an early age, she picked cotton during the season. They simply moved from town to town to work in the fields, and what little money she made simply went into the family pot to cover the necessary items in life. There was none left for the latest clothing or books or toys or games or bicycles. Oh, she did get to go to school a few months out of the year. She generally got to enroll in the closest public school in late November or early December. But then the corn and the bean fields began calling. So in early spring, she would be gone again. She once recalled that it was a teacher. It was a teacher who employed her one entire summer. She would tell folks, oh, it was one of the most wonderful and the best times in my life. She even made me a new dress, the first one I'd ever had. The teacher taught her how to iron and how to make beds and set a table. But more than anything else, she taught her to always be positive. She was one of the nicest people I'd ever met, she reminded herself. She quit going to school in the 5th grade because, as she said, I was too big for the desks and the kids would laugh at me. She married the first time at the age of 16. A baby quickly followed, but the working in the fields continued. When I got married, she said, I went with his family. Wherever there was work, I'd pick cotton for 14 hours a day, and I was good at it. I could outpick any man, she would say proudly. The living quarters were now tents that were set up at one end of the field. Oh, the dirt floors were swept. The meals were cooked out on a campfire, and the money she made was handed over to the mother-in-law. I never got to keep a penny of it, she added. For whatever reason from the long list, the marriage ended soon after the baby was born. Now, it was back with her parents, living in a wooden shack with no electricity, no indoor plumbing, and a roof that leaked. But her stay with her parents was not to last long. Let me turn the page here real quickly. It wasn't to last long because she met a man 20 plus years older than she was, and she fell madly in love. They married, had a baby boy and a baby girl, and lived happily together for 39 years. Oh, they weren't always easy, she would tell me, but Arthur and I managed. He started out being a rancher, but times got hard, so he did anything he could to support our family. And when things got really rough, he went to work driving a garbage truck. He'd bring home lots of good things that people threw away. We clothed our kids, she said, with a lot of it. Now, those who knew her often recalled her words of wisdom. She'd say things like, "There's no excuse for being dirty. Soap and water are cheap." She'd say, "Whatever you do, make it your best." And she'd say, "Don't knock something until you've tried it." She'd also always add, "You be sure you get an education and get a good one. And remember, if you get a whipping at school, you're going to get one when you get home," she'd tell her kids. She'd also say, "You can do anything that you set your mind to." Unfortunately, her husband died shortly after her 59th birthday. It's awful hard to give up those that you love, she said as tears began filling her eyes. In spite of her upbringing, this sweet woman was always cheerful and loving and there to help those who needed. Believe it or not, she went to night school in her 60s and earned a GED. I just wanted something to show that I wasn't ignorant. She said, "I knew I could do it." Quite frankly, she was one of the smartest and kindest people I've ever known. This wise, good-natured, beautiful woman was my mother. And she passed away in 2008 at the age of 87. My sister and I are the two children of Lillian and Arthur. And just like she said when Daddy died in 1980, I found myself saying over and over, "It's awfully hard to give up those that you love." Rest in peace, Mama. I love you.